Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to completely demystify and hopefully fix a system that is notoriously wildly broken. I'm talking about the tech hiring process. If you've ever tried to hire a developer, or hey, if you're a programmer who's had to run the absolute gauntlet of modern tech interviews, you know exactly what I mean. We're going to look at the data, break down exactly where things go off the rails, and most importantly, show you how to rebuild a hiring system that actually works. Let's get right into it.
Okay, let's kick things off with a totally staggering statistic from CareerBuilder. 66% of companies make a bad hiring decision each year. Just think about that for a second. Two-thirds of all companies looking to bring new talent on board are making a massive fundamental mistake somewhere along their recruiting journey. That is a truly wild failure rate for such a critical part of doing business.
And look, the stakes for getting this wrong, they are incredibly high. It's not just about the sunk costs of onboarding, right, or the headache of employee turnover. As the legendary investor Paul Graham points out, hiring bad programmers has actually been named one of the main mistakes that literally kill startups. A bad hire doesn't just slow you down. In the tech world, an overall net negative impact from the wrong people can straight up sink your entire company.
Section 1. The Tech Hiring Crisis. So why exactly is this happening? Well, part of the issue is just the reality of the landscape we're in. We are currently operating in a fierce, and I mean fierce, candidates market. Right now, there are at least 4 to 5 opportunities available for every single capable programmer out there. Outstanding developers absolutely know their worth. They aren't going to wait around for you. If your process is slow or your offer isn't compelling, they'll just walk away. You are definitely not the only one making a choice here.
This brings us to Section 2, Recruitment is Marketing. To win this talent war, you have to undergo a massive paradigm shift. You absolutely can no longer treat recruitment like some administrative chore. You've got to treat your recruitment process with the exact same scientific rigor as your marketing funnel. Put simply, recruitment is marketing, period.
Think about a standard sales funnel for a moment. You generate leads, you nurture them, and you convert them to customers. Well, your recruitment funnel operates on the exact same logic. You bring in applicants, you nurture them, and you convert them to hires. By treating applicants exactly like potential customers, you keep them engaged. If you just go dark on a candidate, it's literally like abandoning a loaded shopping cart. You lose them to a competitor who is actually paying attention. Nurturing is how you prevent top-tier talent from slipping through the cracks. And the numbers absolutely back this up. Data from LinkedIn shows what happens when you build a strong employer brand, what they call a talent brand index. Companies in that top tier, they see a 31% higher in-mail acceptance rate from candidates. Not only that, but a strong brand drastically lowers your cost per hire and brings in 2.5 times more applicants per job. When you market yourself well, the best talent actually wants to listen to you.
Moving to Section 3, the 5-step funnel. So to properly optimize this recruitment marketing, you need a highly structured system. You need a rigid framework you can fall back on, and more importantly, one that you can A/B test. When a mishire inevitably happens, and it will, you shouldn't just shrug your shoulders. You need to be able to look back at your funnel, trace your steps, and pinpoint exactly where the system broke down. When you put this into practice, it creates a continuous loop that maps out the entire journey of a successful tech hire. This is the template. It's clean, it's sequential, and it is measurable at every single stage of the game. These are the 5 crucial steps: sourcing the talent, screening for baseline skills, conducting the interviews, extending the offer, and finally, finalizing the hire. Now, the absolute golden rule here is that each stage must be cleared before moving forward. You cannot bring everyone you source directly into an interview. That completely wastes your engineer's time. You have to screen effectively first. It's a logical progression. Section 4, the interview problem. Now, despite all the effort companies put into sourcing and screening, the whole system routinely collapses at step 3. Data from Stack Overflow reveals an incredible disconnect. What do developers dread the absolute most? It's not updating their CVs. It's the interview process itself. The highest response, sitting at almost 17.5%, highlights that developers absolutely hate the way companies evaluate them. It's their biggest pain point. But contrast that annoyance with data from JobVite. The interview makes the absolute biggest impact, a massive 47%, on a candidate's impression of your company. So think about that. The very thing that developers find most annoying is also the thing that most heavily dictates whether they actually want to work for you. If your interview is a miserable experience, they will walk away with a miserable impression of your entire organization.
So what makes it so miserable? Well, the core problem is that companies are often just too lazy to be creative in their evaluation. Instead of testing real applicable skills, they rely on a process heavily criticized in the industry as whiteboard algorithm hazing. Instead of looking at a candidate's actual portfolio, interviewers ask them, how many ping pong balls can fit inside a school bus? Or they force them to stand in front of a whiteboard and write complex algorithms from memory, things they would normally just look up in seconds on the job.
Take this incredible admission from David Heinemeier Hansson to show you how absurd this really is. He is the creator of Ruby on Rails, a massive, wildly successful programming framework used all over the world. And he publicly tweeted, "Hello, my name is David. I would fail to write bubble sort on a whiteboard. I look code up on the internet all the time. I don't do riddles." One of the most famous developers in the world is freely admitting he would completely fail your standard technical interview.
Stack this with another reality check from Tim Dirks. He says, "I'm a lead at Google with over 30 years coding experience, and I need to look up how to get length of a Python string." Guys, even at the absolute pinnacle of tech engineering, a lead at Google, seasoned professionals are using search engines for basic syntax. Expecting a candidate to memorize it under pressure is completely detached from reality.
10 years in the industry, and Android engineer Ivan Morgillo confirms the exact same thing. He notes that he had his fair share of whiteboards and sorting algorithms at university, but he has never needed it for real-world work in 10 years. This definitively proves that rote memorization of obscure algorithms has virtually nothing to do with the day-to-day actual work of programming.
When you force top talent through this broken, standardized hazing system, the results are disastrous. It literally drives brilliant contributors to the breaking point, resulting in viral articles boldly titled, "Fuck you, I quit, hiring is broken." Developer Sahat Yakubov's piece perfectly encapsulates the sheer exhaustion and anger candidates feel when they are treated like code monkeys instead of creative problem solvers. You are actively driving away the exact people you are desperately trying to hire. Section 5. A better way. So the crucial question is, how do we actually fix this mess? We must replace these random riddles and whiteboard hazing sessions with an interview process that actually resembles the real work to be done. We need to test the candidate's ability to be a sort of Swiss Army knife for software, their problem solving, their creativity, and their abstract thinking in a truly realistic environment. And the data backs this up unequivocally. 85 years of research from Frank L. Schmidt at the University of Iowa and John E. Hunter at Michigan State University definitively proves that work sample quality is the single best indicator of performance of hired. Not riddles, not silly brain teasers, actual, realistic work samples. So here are the actionable fixes you can implement right now. First, standardize your interview scenarios. Give every single candidate the same realistic task so you remove personal bias. Second, ditch the magic bullet questions. Stop asking people what their spirit animal is or how many golf balls fit in a school bus. It's a waste of breath and tells you absolutely nothing about their coding. Third, focus deeply on their portfolio. Look at what they actually build in their open source contributions. And finally, verify their leadership and working preferences to ensure they actually fit the way your team operates. But amidst all this optimization, A/B testing, and work samples, you must remember the human element. A study by Mattersight shows a staggering 80% of employees say they would take one job over another based purely on personal connections formed during the interview. The candidate wants to know if they are actually going to enjoy spending 40 hours a week with you. Be professional for sure, but don't act like a robot running a diagnostic test. Which leads us to the ultimate, most clarifying question you can possibly ask when evaluating a candidate. After you strip away the whiteboard hazing, after you look at the real work samples, just ask yourself, would your team actually enjoy working with this person? Thank you for joining me on this explainer. I'll leave you with this final thought to chew on. If your hiring process is the very first reflection of your company's actual culture, what exactly are your whiteboard riddles telling the world about yours?